Hello and welcome to this week's Modern Toyfare News, the weekly show that talks about toys. My name is Michael, and this week I am once again joined by one of the hosts of the Figuratively Speaking podcast, Nate. How are you this week, Nate?
I'm doing great, Michael. How are you?
I'm pretty good. So, if you are new to the show, the way it works is we break down what news I've deemed worthy of the next hour of your life, and then we do our weekly purchases and send you on your way. So, we might as well just get started. As usual, good old Mcfarlane is gonna be the start of the show. We got quite a bit from this week. The big hitter is the DC 7-inch Multiverse line. We got a look at how the death metal Batman is sitting on his bone motorcycle thing, which looked really cool. We got the newly announced Injustice Flash and Gorilla Grodd figures. We got a first look at the unmasked Flashpoint Batman, and a first look at the Last Night on Earth Build-A-Figure Bane prototypes. Now, Grodd and Flash will be out, looks like March of 2021. Flashpoint Batman will be sometime in 2021. And I believe the Build-A-Figure wave of Bane is supposed to be like January or February of 2021. As per usual, Mcfarlane is very hit or miss in this line.
Right.
Like, Grodd and Flash look incredible.
They do.
The Bane Build-A-Figure and Flashpoint Batman?
I mean, the Flashpoint Batman seems like another opportunity to like cash in on some parts, some existing parts.
Yeah. I think my biggest problem with him is he borderline looks too young.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Like, he looks like he's in, like, maybe at best his like early 30s and is just graying like prematurely.
I don't even remember at this point how old he was supposed to be in that story. I haven't read it since it came out.
I want to say, because he at least in current continuity, he is older than Bruce is.
Right.
Like, they've basically progressed it as if he was still aging at the same rate Bruce was in the actual universe. So I would assume he's probably like in his 50s or 60s.
Okay. Yeah.
Depending on what Bruce's age is in canon, because they keep aging him and de-aging him. So
yeah, he always seems to be about 30.
Yeah,
I think Superman is 30 and Batman is like 29. I think that was like the official ages at one point, but I don't know if that's still the case or if that's
it's honestly hard to tell. I feel like they probably used, so in Rebirth they did the button which led up to the events of Doomsday Clock, and in the button, like, Bruce gets to meet Flashpoint Batman for the first time.
Oh,
and
okay.
That artwork, the way it's done, like, it's not like your standard like Jim Lee style artwork. So they didn't really do a great job of making Thomas Wayne look old. Like, he had like bags under his eyes, like, and like from some shading and gray hair, but they didn't really give him much like detail in the face, which may be what they're using for this.
Okay.
But yeah, he just looks. It looks like they were like, let's use a head sculpt that we can later paint with black hair and make a Bruce Wayne head.
Yeah, that's probably very close to what it is. What I do like about what they're doing is, you know, Mcfarlane. Obviously, these waves have been really Batman heavy, which makes sense. It's the way to sell toys. Yeah. But I do like how they've been kind of peppering in things that are kind of Batman adjacent and, you know, still lend itself while slowly kind of building out an existing multiverse, as it's called. But like, just seeing that Gorilla Grodd, that was really cool as a really well done looking figure. The bummer for me is we finally have these great DC figures coming out. They're coming out at a great price point. They're reasonably easy to find. I just am no longer interested in DC, unfortunately. Ever since, I mean, it was pretty much Flashpoint that did it. It was the whole
New 52.
New 52. I just wasn't interested. It wasn't like it was bad or anything like that. I just didn't stick with it. And then Rebirth, I tried to keep up with it, but I just wasn't reading my comics as much as I should, and things got, you know, by the wayside, and then I lost track of things. And I bought all those issues of The Button, and I bought of several issues of uh,
Doomsday Clock.
Doomsday Clock, and the Batman one, the original metal, Dark Knight Metal.
Oh, Dark Knight Metal, yeah.
But I didn't read any of them, so I am unfamiliar with like a lot of these stories that they're basing it on. But I do think it's really cool that they're doing all these, newer characters, like the Batman Who Laughs. I mean, that's a really striking looking character. Even if, like myself, I know who the character is, but I didn't read the story. I can legitimately see like that's a cool looking figure, and it still even has Batman in the title, so somebody might just buy it because it's called Batman. Who knows?
They'll be like, oh, it's Batman, but he looks like the Joker,
right?
With a weird dominatrix fetish.
Yeah, like he's a Cenobite from Hellraiser.
I agree. It's great that we are sprinkling in like little things here and there that we probably wouldn't have gotten through like a company like Mattel. I love the Injustice like opening that door. I'm all for it. Yep. The Grodd looks incredible. I hope his helmet comes off though, because as much as I like really want a Grodd figure, because the last one we got was the Mattel one from years ago, and that one's okay. Like it looks cool, but it doesn't like pose well.
Right. It's an old figure now.
Yeah, and it's an expensive figure too. So I'd love to get like a $20 Grodd, but I don't want him to be like constantly in that like full bodysuit of armor.
Right.
And the fact that they did Flash, that brings hope to my heart that we're gonna get an Injustice Reverse Flash. Yeah, that costume is just so awesome.
Yeah. I think if they do well, I think we'll see more of those particular things. That's showing how they're going to round out these waves, because there are no signs of slowing down. I mean, I saw a complete list of everything released to this year or for this year, and like I got to like halfway down, and halfway down was just the stuff that was coming now. There's still so much more to the end of the year. So I mean, they could keep going, and people somewhat rightfully complain about the number of Batmans in each wave or whatever, but if they're just going to keep pumping them out, who cares how many Batmans there are? Buy the ones you like, and then just get the other characters.
And the unfortunate truth is, like right now, if you go into Walmart, who do you see on the shelf aside from like that dumb blue variant of the animated Batman that just looks weird? You see Wonder Woman.
Yep.
Like I still have the Wonder Woman 89 figures in both of my Walmarts, but the Batman White Knight figures all sold out.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight Metal figures all sold out.
It would help that if that movie could come out somehow.
True, but like having an entire wave of Wonder Woman, unless you include the villains, which I get they didn't want to do because spoilers, but it's not going to sell as well as a character is so popular that there's going to be like 3 different versions of him next year.
Right.
In the media, like we're gonna have 2 movies plus HBO series. Like Batman just he keeps the lights on. Like that's probably the only reason why AT&T hasn't closed down DC.
Yeah, I really do think that I really do hope that we get Justice League figures from the Snyder cut or whatever you want to call it, done by Mcfarlane, because the Mattel ones were lackluster, and I think I didn't see the other movie, but if this one isn't any good either, I still would buy the toys because they would look cool.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, the Wonder Woman figures look absolutely incredible. So
they're great.
That's an example of what we get from like the Snyder cut like figures. Then I'm on board too.
Yeah.
I do want to just point out like a big glaring problem I have with one of these announcements, and that's the Build-A-Figure Bane. So this is supposed to be based off of the Last Night on Earth, where like everything's just been kind of destroyed. It's like post-apocalyptic. Like Batman was checked into to Arkham, and he escapes, and he's got Joker's head and a lantern that like talks to him.
I take it this is an Elseworlds title.
Yeah,
something like that.
It's a Black Label.
Oh, okay.
So this
I have a bunch of those I haven't read.
So this was Snyder and Capullo's like big last hurrah.
Oh,
like, this is the last Batman story they were writing together, and essentially like Bane carries Scarecrow around on his back, kind of as like almost borderline, like his own like personal Igor. Well, first off, Todd said that they were going to fix the issue of like Devastator was too small. He wasn't in scale with the rest of the figures.
Yeah.
So like he's like Bane's bigger. He'll be, you know, closer to like what he's supposed to be in scale. Then you watch the video of the prototype. Issue number 1, Robin is pretty much like almost up to like belly button or chest on Bane, which I feel like probably wouldn't happen for like a 12 or 13-year-old boy, whatever they're calling him nowadays. And then he puts Flashpoint Batman up next to him, but he doesn't put him flush like foot to foot. He puts like a solid like shin to foot, almost to make Bane look taller, which makes me think, okay, they're going to be eye to eye at this point, which isn't going to be in scale.
Right.
It's almost like he was more concerned with making him beefy outwards rather than tall, so he didn't have to pay more for packaging. But his head's too small. His gloves have weird armor plates on them that he didn't have in the books. Like, there's just so many things that I'm just like, I went from being all in and I'm going to buy all 4 figures to build this, even though I only have interest in like one of them, to now I'm like, probably not. I'll just get the Batman with Joker head in the jar and call it a day.
Yeah. I want a Batman with a Joker head in a jar.
Right? Like, a few episodes ago, they showed off like the prototype, like unpainted prototypes. And the Joker head in the jar just looks so weird unpainted. Because this is like tan blob in this like plastic lantern.
That's awesome.
Oh, man. But keeping with McFarlane, they also announced a 12-inch Mortal Kombat Commando spawn. There's no date or price point or anything on it. It was literally just shown off in like one glam shot and a video. This, I'm pretty sure, is just a statue. Because in the video, he doesn't move it. He literally just takes and like puts accessories in its hand. And even in the glam shot, if you look close, there's 0 cuts for articulation. So unless he's going to add it later, I feel like we're going back to like 1990s McFarlane with this one.
Yeah, I thought it was an odd choice too, and I don't really understand their 12-inch line, because they just only do a few of them here and there, and I don't really know what the whole thing is there with them. But I think, I could be totally wrong, but I think what they did. Do you remember when McFarlane was doing color tops? When they kind of reverted back to 7-inch, but they still weren't doing articulation. Mm-hmm. They did 2 Spawn figures back then. There was a regular Spawn, and then they did a Commando Spawn. And I think they just kind of doubled up that, because that didn't really have any articulation either. Mm-hmm. So I think this is just maybe a way to satiate the people who didn't get in on the Kickstarter and want some sort of representation of an older Spawn. I don't really know. I don't really know who this is for without the articulation, because I mean, we have plenty of Spawn figures out there that don't have articulation.
And there's also plenty of Spawn statues that are significantly better. So there was like no need for this. And like you said, I don't know who his audience is for these like little random like 12-inch. Like even the 12-inch Witcher figure, like he's actually articulated. But like if you're doing 12-inch figures, usually you're more investing like Hot Toys. So you're not going to want something that's just a solid piece of plastic.
Yep.
But I mean, let's be honest, Todd just makes things for himself. He doesn't really.
Yep.
He's like, it will sell, guys.
And as long as he gives us the other stuff, then I don't really care. I don't always understand the decisions he makes, but it's fun to watch.
Yeah, he's an interesting fellow. And speaking of interesting decisions he made this week, so the last bit of news we have from McFarlane, they're apparently making a more kid-friendly 5-inch line of the My Hero Academia figures. Price point is aiming to be less than $10 each, and they're going to have roughly 5 points of articulation. He did also show off some new 7-inch figures as well. I'm going to butcher these because I've never seen the show, but Ijiro, Kirishimura from Season 3 in their costumes, and All For One and Izuku? I don't know, the main character from their Season 2 outfits. And those are supposedly going to be going up for pre-order soon. But the 5-inch line makes no sense to me.
I have to assume it's only just trying to go after that price point of younger buyers, and maybe test out that market. I don't know. They did that Raw 10 this year that was more like geared at kids.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen those?
Are those that's like the big like animals with the
Mm-hmm.
like robot stuff? Yeah, right.
Yep. I bought the snake one because it's gonna look cool in a Cobra display. But I mean, they're solid figures, and they're a really nice price point. So here's a way to do like a licensed line. I'll be curious to see because they say it's 5 points of articulation. So
Mm-hmm.
how's McFarlane gonna make that look? Is it gonna look like a reaction figure? I'm thinking not. I'm thinking he's gonna still make it look really good, but just be less articulated. And so I'll be curious to see how that looks, especially
I
if they can
mean,
keep that.
there should be a picture of the three. It's the main
Oh,
character, All
it's
Might.
those.
And, yeah, it's those three. Those are
Okay.
supposed to be that. So they look nice. Like I didn't
Actually,
realize
they
they were
look
five
really
inches
good.
until I like was reading further in the announcement. I'm just still like I can't imagine there's that big of a like children's audience for this show that you need to
Yeah.
invest an entire line in it. And I almost feel like Todd just refuses to make 6-inch figures. It's either
Well,
7-inch or it goes down to
yeah.
5-inch.
Yeah, there is that. I guess I didn't realize these were the ones you were talking about because they do look really, really good.
Yeah.
I guess my only. Yeah, that's weird because I was thinking like maybe he's trying because like trying to go after the kid market as opposed to a collector market, and it made me think of SH Figure Arts and then like the Dragon Stars line for kids. But the Dragon Stars line is like $20, which is what his My Hero Academia figures are. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna be real interested to see how they do.
Yeah, because I mean, even if they're like $8, that's still.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for one, these companies claim they're making figures for kids. You gotta be stupid if you're doing that. Kids don't play with toys anymore. They do for like the first 3 years, and then they get an iPad and they never open a toy box again.
Right.
So
right.
Wasting money and plastic on these things, like just put that into your lines that sell.
Yep. Exactly. No, I agree.
Yeah, it's but I mean, as you mentioned though, Super 7 has the reaction figure lines, and they actually didn't want to be one up this week, so they had quite a bit of news as well. Mm-hmm. The first new announcement comes from the Ultimates line with an Andre the Giant as the monster Rosamov, which that's so dated in the wrestling world that I don't even remember it. He comes packed with 3 swappable heads, multiple hands, a can of beer, and a soft goods satin robe and sash that he wore during the IWA World Series in 1971. And he's currently available for pre-order on Super 7's website for $45. Now, I know they did an Andre a year or so ago.
Mm-hmm. It's not come out yet.
Yeah. So I'm kind of shocked that they're like, we haven't even shipped this Andre, but we're going to offer another Andre that's even more like of a niche thing. Because like, you have to be a huge Andre the Giant fan to want like him from this specific thing where he wasn't even Andre.
Well, and that's what's funny because I have a friend who's getting it because of the specific era and thing that it is, because he's real big into Japanese wrestling.
That makes more sense.
And that whatever that was, World Series 1971, mm-hmm. like that was a Japanese wrestling event. So yeah, so he's all excited about it, and I was like, okay, like it's Andre the Giant. Yeah, like you said, Andre the Giant before he was even Andre the Giant. Like I think it's cool, and they did say that they were going to do more figures. If anybody out there is like resistant to even like try Super 7 because it is a long lead time.
Oh yeah,
you're talking like almost a year from when you pre-order. So like Big Bad Toy Store has these for the same price on Super 7's website if you pre-order them through Big Bad Toy Store. You don't pay up front at Big Bad Toy Store, and you can cancel your order at any time. So I guess is it that same friend who wanted it, he's like, well, I don't want to order it from Super 7 because I don't trust him because I haven't gotten my other one yet. And it's like, well, because he's not really as connected to the toy world. And I'm like, we got to understand, I started explaining everything, and he's like, oh, I'm like, they've delivered in the past. They've always delivered. It might be late.
We just got Thundercats, mm-hmm. Ninja Turtles, and I think He-Man all within the past like few months. So So, and I forgot the Red and Stippy as well. Yeah.
Yes, so did I. I forgot that I ordered them. It was so long ago. But, and that's just it. Because, if you don't want to tie up your money right now and you want to see how it's going to come out, order it that way, because that's still supporting Super 7 and what they're doing, and kind of help them, choose other licenses or other things that they want to do. So I would do it that way if you're resistant at all.
1,000%. And if you are even remotely interested in any of the Super 7 figures that are currently available, and you don't want to pay ahead, 100% go to Big Bad Toy Store, because you don't want to end up like me and had to pay the upcharge on Raph from the Ninja Turtle set, because you were against the line until you saw in-hand pictures and you're like, oh my god, this looks incredible, and then you're like, well, I'm paying about $20 or $30 more than I would have a year ago. Whoops.
Yeah, and that's the thing with. I will say this though about Big Bad Toy Store. I did notice it. I don't think it's the wrong thing to do, but people should be aware of it. So you can pre-order for the same price as Super 7, but when they actually come into stock or are about to, the price may go up.
Oh yeah, which at that point, because Big Bad Toy Store is 100% notorious that they get things late. Their shipments get in about 2 to 6 weeks after everyone else does. So at that point, the aftermarket has already started to form. So if you missed out on the pre-order, that's kind of on you.
Yeah.
And I mean, they're kind of at this like weird impasse where they're an e-retailer, but they're kind of also like a specialty shop. So like they don't do that often. But if something's popular enough that the pre-order's sold out in advance, and they actually ended up getting extra, that's when you'll see them like upcharge.
Yeah,
which it sucks, but
they have every
more
right
reasonable
to do
than
it. Yep. So, but yeah, even like I said, you can cancel your pre-orders. So if you're even questioning anything for these made-to-order ones from Super 7, just pre-order it. I mean, you got plenty of time to really think it over.
And I know like some people don't like Big Bad Toy Store because of the fact that it doesn't charge them right away. And they're like, oh, well, I don't want to get that surprise charge. Go get a $10 Visa gift card down at the Walgreens. Put it in as your credit card, and then you'll get an email the day it comes in saying, hey, we weren't able to charge your card. And then you just update it or you cancel it.
Yep.
Easy problem solved. Luckily, I'm poor enough that the account I use for that usually doesn't have enough to cover anything, so I find out when it comes out before they charge me.
There you go.
So the next piece of Super 7 news, I'm kind of curious because I know you are a fan of this, and I want to know if this is something that might excite you, because I know my cousin is also a huge fan, but he was very, very disappointed. So Super 7 teased fans with a new announcement for figures for the band Ghost. And then I think today or yesterday, they actually like officially announced what it was. And it's the Mummy Dust reaction figure on a $666 bill carded package. And my cousin was hoping for ultimate figure. Like he wanted full posable, like detailed, soft goods robe, all that jazz. So I'm kind of curious because I know you're a fan of Ghost. So where do you stand on the reaction figure Ghost figures?
I mean, we have them. My wife is I'm a Ghost fan. My wife is like a Ghost super fan. So like as a side note, like we have a bathroom that's in our bedroom. It is decked out in Ghost. Like that is where all of the Ghost memorabilia is. We don't really use it as a bathroom, as more of just a place to put all this stuff.
This is a place to poop and stare at Ghost figures.
Well, if you do sit there, there is a autographed picture of Cardinal Copia directly across from you as you go, and that was done on purpose. Yeah, I had to think about it for a second. So yeah, we're massive fans. I was initially disappointed too that it's not the announcement of an Ultimates, but I think those are coming. So I would probably say to your cousin to like be cool. I think that was like the main reason I bought the King Diamond figure that they offered. I don't really like King Diamond. I'm not against him, but I'm not a big fan. But I bought it in hopes of the kind of saying that there's a market for this, so there
Yeah,
would
give
be
them
a
the money
Ghost.
so that way there's incentive for them
Mhm.
to further dive in the
Yep.
line and open up those doors.
Yep. But at the same time, we have all the reaction ones that they've done so far, including the one that was supposed to be for San Diego, which is a really nice one. Like the card is massive, and it's really cool. So I like the strange shaped cards, and I like the idea of this. Now it's not it's a repaint of what we've already gotten. But what's really weird is these were already up for pre-order on Big Bad Toy Store months ago. I've had my pre-order in. They just didn't say what they were. Like they didn't show a picture. But I also know that there is a Papa 2 listed that I have on pre-order as well that they haven't shown yet. So there's still hopes. And obviously there's a market other than just us. Because they keep releasing different versions of that Papa 3 that they've already done. So there's 3 different versions of it now, with the 4th on its way. So we're gonna keep seeing more and more stuff. And then the Paper People version that's coming out. I mean, I got that ordered too. So but yeah, I think the Ultimates are coming, and it's gonna come on one of those like off months, like the Andre the Giant. So they'll do Thundercats and Turtles, and then that off month, we'll see it. I think we'll see it within 6 months.
All right, well, we'll have to keep an eye out for that because
Yeah,
I just want to see how it looks. I don't think I've ever heard any of their music, but I've seen.
Oh, really?
The main guy, and I'm like,
yeah,
he's toyetic as fuck. So.
Oh no, absolutely.
Like,
the whole thing is, and that's part of the appeal, because the stage show is just, it's very theatrical. It's very overdone. It's also done very tongue in cheek. Like the songs are not jokey, but at the same time, like, don't take it too seriously. But it's really good stuff, but they don't sound as dark. Like you see the picture and you're like, oh, hey,
you're like, oh man, they're gonna be like headbanging, screaming into the microphone.
No, and that's one of the cool things. He's got a great voice, and it's very easy to tell what he's singing and what he's saying. And yeah, they're not as heavy, but they're great musicians because you can't see their faces, so he just hires the best musicians that he can. So
there you go.
Yeah, I could actually spend a whole hour talking about Ghost. But what's funny is, not to plug my show, but I'm gonna in a way. There's actually an episode, and I don't remember which one it was, but there's actually an episode where Corey explains to me what Ghost is. I didn't know, and like that night we went out somewhere, and he let me borrow one of the CDs, and it just went from there. And then I got my wife into it, and we've gone to see him, we've met him, we've done so. We have a whole bathroom. It's a rabbit. I feel like
that had to be a really early episode because like I've seen you post like on like Facebook and stuff that like all the concerts you've gone to like quite a bit.
It was like now. Yeah, it was around the time the San Diego of when they did the cartoon turtle set.
Oh, that was
so whatever year that was. Yeah, that was like 2017.
Yeah, that was
maybe 2016.
Maybe in 2016.
Yeah, that makes more sense because I think it's been 4 years since we've been super into him. So,
yeah. But again, more Super 7 news. We move on from heavy metal bands to Disney. So they announced, and I know some people who are probably super excited for this one, the Disney Store exclusive Haunted Mansion Hitchhiking Ghost Reaction Figure 3-pack. Ezra, Phineas, and Gus are available for pre-order on the shop, or not even pre-order, they're actually just available to order on shopdisney.com for $59.99. And they actually look pretty cool. Like, I'm usually against the reaction figures. Like, the cards look cool.
Yeah.
But, like, the generic, like, sit there in a 1980s pose never did it for me. But these, like, they're actually, like, kind of got their arms more of almost, like, 90s style, where they're in, like, different positions, but they still have that terrible articulation.
Mm-hmm. No, I like them. I'm not a huge like fan of Haunted Mansion, which I didn't know was a thing. There's like a massive fan base for Haunted Mansion.
One of my best friends is obsessed with it. Like, we every year we would play the new WWE game when it came out, and we'd always make our characters and stuff like that. And he'd always have an alternate attire for his character that was basically the wallpaper from Haunted Mansion.
Yeah. I mean, I've been on it. Like, I was out in California, and I went on it in Florida, and it's cool. But I thought it's interesting that, like, I was listening to I think it was the Foosh interview with Brian Flynn from Super 7, and basically the Haunted Mansion is the entire reason that the Disney Ultimates even happens, because that's how they got the license. They just wanted to make Haunted Mansion stuff.
Yeah.
So, but I think they're cool. I won't get them, but yeah, I know what you're saying. They're different. It's kind of like, did you see when they did the first Dark Crystal reaction figures? Those were really cool because those were not your just generic looking human people that they usually make. These were creatures, and they didn't weren't confined to that same body style. So I think that's why it makes these a little bit cooler too.
Yeah, because like it very much so. Like I said, it's like a difference almost like 80s to 90s. Because in the 90s, that's what they did. They kept the same points of articulation, but they just like, we're gonna mold them with bended elbows and like their knees are a little bit bent, so they can be in like super poses, and that's what this feels like. And I'm like, okay, that at least looks a little cooler on your shelf, because I feel like the reaction figures aren't something that you can be a loose collector of, and they just look great standing there. You have to very much keep them on the card, because that card is what really sells those.
Yep.
Yeah, so I at least know a couple people that are gonna probably need to order those, and I should probably let them know, because they do not regularly watch the show as they should and be good friends and support people. But moving on for Super 7, we have some NECA news. So they showed off new images of the Back to the Future Doc Brown 7-inch figure, set to hit stores next month, along with pre-orders popping up, and this one is really confusing to me, a 10-inch Ralphie from A Christmas Story. He's actually available for pre-order right now for $34.99 and should ship fourth quarter 2020 on Big Bad Toy Store. And then they also, I'm just going to jump to the next one, teased a new version of Marty McFly, because you can't just have two. This one is the version that's stuck in 1955 trying to not sleep with his mother and get his dad to man up and get the job done.
Yeah. When you really break down Back to the Future, it's gross. I love it, but it's gross.
mean, that's how all those like old movies are. I mean, Star Wars, they're like Luke and Leia are brother and sister, but last movie they kissed. We've got Back to the Future. Oh, Marty's trying to bang his mom because he didn't realize it was his mom, and then mom's like, I really want to bang you. And then you've even got Indiana Jones, who George Lucas needs to just shut up for once in his life, and like goes on about how like Miriam was like 12 when they slept together, and I'm like, that's not okay, George Lucas.
Yeah, I didn't catch that until I was a lot older, and I was like, ugh, that's unfortunate.
Well, because in the movie they don't like imply an age; it's just implied like,
well, she just said
she was younger.
A child.
Yeah,
and
like
that could be
interpreted as a lot of things.
Figuratively.
Yeah, she could be like, I was 17 or 18, and I was still maturing,
naive.
And you took advantage of me. Like that kind of child, not like literally a child, George Lucas.
Yeah, that's gross. But we forget about that kind of stuff. Jimmy Page had a 14-year-old girlfriend that he locked in his house.
Yeah.
So,
Man,
sorry,
nostalgic Galgas are rough.
It's gross. It gets gross.
But, I mean, I'm not going to lie. This Doc Brown looks absolutely incredible with the detailing. I'm kind of holding out because I don't want to have multiple of each. Like, that's a big thing I try to do, is like, there's certain characters I'll buy different versions of just because there's a reason to. Mm-hmm. I don't need like 3 Doc Browns, 7 Martys. So like, I kind of want the Back to the Future 2 Doc Brown, where he's got like the cool sunglasses and he's got like all the weird future stuff. Like that one, I'm like, okay, I'm holding out.
I guess you could mix them. That would be weird. Like, I'm going to get them all, except I don't necessarily think I need to get this Marty that they teased, because I literally just got the first Back to the Future one. And I have the radiation suit one.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Darth Vader.
There.
Just off screen.
Just there. And then there's the Back to the Future 2 one that's coming out. So, like my one friend, he's like, I don't want to get all
already
those.
out.
Yeah, it's not at the shop that I pre-ordered it at yet.
Okay.
But I have heard it's out. But I had a friend. He's like, I don't want to get all those, and I'm like, well, just get the ones from the first one. So like you just have like that, that first Marty, that 1955 Doc Brown and Biff, and call it done. But would you do like Back to the Future 1 Marty with Back to the Future 2 Doc, and then like a Back to the Future 3 Mad Dog Tannen? Would you just totally mix it up like that?
The first two 100%, because you can pass off the Back to the Future 2 Doc Brown because he shows up at the end of the movie.
That's true.
Because he shows up, he's like, they're, sitting there, all lovey-dovey, and he's like, Marty, we have to go back! So, like, that I could definitely work with. I'm not gonna lie, I completely didn't think about the fact that they'll eventually do Back to the Future 3, and we'll get Western versions of all of them. And suddenly now I'm like, I kind of want the Western versions instead.
Oh, I can't wait for those. Are you kidding me? Marty in that terrible pink and turquoise shirt. Oh, yeah. I can't wait. Yeah, those are coming.
Yeah,
because if they've got all those actors' likenesses, they got to cash in as much as possible.
That they're going to 100%, especially because that they can reuse like at least a third of the parts.
Yep.
Damn, that throws a huge wrench in my plan.
Yeah.
I am gonna say this though. I've only contemplated getting Biff solely because of the accessories, like the lockbox with Ooh La La in it.
Yeah.
And the almanac, I'm like, I'm an accessory whore. Like, I'll find a use for those, but I have no interest in a Biff figure. So, like, I keep seeing it, and I'm like, I should really get this, because if I don't, I'm going to want those accessories still, and it's going to go away, and then I'm going to eventually just bite the bullet and buy it on eBay. But at the same time, I'm like, but I don't think anyone's really going to buy a loose Biff figure to the point where I can make this work.
You never know.
You never know. There might be someone who's a huge Biff fan and just wants to already build him. An army of douchebags.
Mm-hmm. I just watched him in another movie this past week from the 80s, April Fool's Day. He was a completely different kind of guy. He's actually seems like a really good actor, but it's hard to live down that part.
Oh yeah, like that's the problem with a lot of like the 80s movies, is they were so good in like one series that you can never see them as anything else.
Right.
Like even when they end up just guest appearing on SVU to make extra money because they're so typecast at that point. I do want to break down the weirdness of a 10-inch Ralphie from A Christmas Story, though.
So bizarre. The fact that it's a 10-inch Ralphie that's not him in the bunny suit, like that would almost make sense, because you could put that out as a Christmas decoration, and everybody would be like, "Oh, how cute! I love that movie. We watch it every year." But this one isn't as instantaneously recognizable, I don't think, as Ralphie. I mean,
like, why do you have a weird blonde child on your shelf?
Like, people would watch it, or people who watch it would get it, but it's not like it's super iconic in that way. But also 10-inch is such a weird scale. Like, so where did that come from?
It makes me wonder, because the 1/6 scale figures they do, those are 18 inches, right?
The quarter scale, yeah.
Quarter scale, yeah. So theoretically, maybe he's a quarter scale?
No, maybe if he's 10 inches,
well, because he was a young kid, so he was maybe like 4 feet tall. So that's 2 feet shorter than your average.
I don't know. I still think he'd be like 14 inches.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's very strange,
weird
choice.
Yeah,
and like you said, with it not even being the bunny sword. What?
Yeah, they did a line in their 8-inch cloth figures. They did Ralphie and the Old Man. I think just that, or did they do Randy too? I can't remember.
I don't recall Randy. I do remember seeing Ralphie and the Old Man, though.
Yeah, because I think that it was NECA that did a line of 7-inch figures, like early on, like in the
it was a long time ago. Yeah, it was back when they still had the clamshell case. Instead of like the cool like open box.
Yep.
Yeah, so I don't even know.
It's strange.
Like,
it's definitely weird.
Hopefully it sells, because if not, that's a real terrible thing to be sitting on at Target.
It's weird, because like I kind of wondered if there was a market for those, and then when they offered the Home Alone ones, I was like, that's weird. But those are pretty sought after, and they're re-releasing them again, and so like they've been really popular.
Apparently,
I don't have them.
Just sells.
Yeah,
I don't know. So moving on from weird 10-inch Ralphie to Tamashii Nations, they put up the pre-order in Japan, so not in the US, for the new Avengers Infinity War SH Figure Arts Gamora. And this is on their premium Bandai site, so I assume that means she's going to be premium Bandai exclusive when she hits the States as well. She's listed at 8,800 yen, which is roughly $84 American. She will include swappable faceplates, swappable hair pieces, interchangeable hands, a sword, a holster, a knife, a bubble pistol for Star-Lord, and a stand. I'm not gonna lie, like the coolest part of this is the bubble pistol.
You know, this is the one. Well, there's many things that Japanese action figures do better, but one of the things that I absolutely love that I think the American company should emulate is throwing in more accessories for other characters.
Yeah,
because then that's more incentive to sell another figure. Like, oh, I got this extra part now. Maybe I didn't have, Star-Lord. I'm gonna get Star-Lord now. Figma's really good about doing that with their or not Figma, Mafex. Their figures always include extra accessories for other characters. Like I know I had a Harley Quinn that I got that came with like an extra Batman head that had like a scuba attachment.
Oh yeah, the little thing for where he jumps in to save her.
Yep. So like I even like sold that because I didn't need it. I didn't have the Batman figure, and I'm sure that I helped out somebody because they didn't want to buy the Harley figure for it. So I mean, I sold it, so it made me a little bit back. But I think the incentive there is definitely like to get that figure, and it's worked with the Dragon Ball ones because they've started doing that at SH Figure Arts. There was somebody. There was an American company here recently that did something similar, and I wish they would do it more because I think it's just brilliant. Yeah. It's the extra heads that they include.
Yeah, because they did really cool. The one extra head that came with, what was it, Professor X, that you could use on the King.
Yeah, the body. Shadow King.
They've
done the Leandra head from X-Men.
Yeah, there's definitely.
She came in Mystique.
They're not doing it quite as often as it seems like Figure Arts is doing, but they're definitely like kind of learning. And that my biggest complaint I think would be the fact that a lot of times with the Figure Arts stuff, by the time the next figure gets announced and puts up for pre-order that has that extra piece, usually the other one is already out of production. So you're having to go buy it like third party for like significantly more. Because like that's the problem I ran into is I was avoiding getting the Ginyu Force unless I could find Ginyu at a decent price because I didn't want to pay a whole lot for them because they're cool, but it's mostly just because that saga is probably the best Dragon Ball Z saga in the series. And
Boo.
I love Boo. Don't hate on me. Boo is
No, I probably agree with you. The whole Frieza Namek thing and Boo are tied. I just like Boo because it's so bizarre and all the weird stuff that happens. And all
Fat Boo is probably one of my favorite characters in the series, especially with just how much more ridiculous he gets in Super. But yeah, like I feel like just the Frieza saga is the most iconic one to the point where they've dragged Frieza through hell and back, literally, to be a main part of the current series. So like I missed out on Jace for the pre-orders, and now it's like, okay, we'll have to go back and get him. Well, what they're doing with that is I think Jace came with the Goku as Ginyu head.
It does.
So you can use that on the Saiyan Raised on Earth figure.
Which I did buy an extra one for. Because they started having them at Target, so I was like, yeah, I'm grabbing one.
Yeah, especially for like $35, it's not bad. And then Raccoon is currently up for pre-order, and he comes with the frog expression face for Ginyu, which that one, and he comes with a frog as well, and that one not quite as like important because realistically, if you're getting the Ginyu Force, you're not going to put Ginyu on all fours,
right?
Like a frog. Like you might do it for like some funny pictures, but when he goes up your shelf, you're going to have them all in their like weird poses.
100%.
So I do have to go back and find Jace now. Like I almost got Jace just because I'm like, ooh, that like evil Goku head with the Ginyu and the Scouter, like that's just cool in general. Like that's something you could get
custom fodder.
Yeah, so you could get an extra like Trunks body from like future Trunks with the Saiyan armor. Pop his head on there, and now you've got a Saiyan like evil Goku from like
was that Turtles? Was his name from one of the early movies?
But he had more armor like Raditz though.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, he had like a weird, like it was like Raditz's armor, but he had like blue underpants or something. It was really weird. But
I think
yeah,
I totally derailed your point that you were trying to
oh
make.
yeah, which doesn't take much. This train will just keep going until it hits a wall, and if the tracks change, it doesn't pay attention. It just goes. So like I think it's a really cool concept. I like it more how Marvel Legends is doing it, where it's just like, oh, here's a $20 figure that just happens to come with this piece
Yeah.
that you may or may not want. Like, if I were to get the Professor Xavier figure, I would have no interest in the Shadow King, so I probably would just sell the head.
Because
But
there's absolutely somebody that would want that didn't want to pay the $40 Professor
exactly.
X.
So like it's a really cool concept. I would like you said, I'd love to see more American companies do it, but they'd have to do it right, because unfortunately here in the States, the companies don't always do things the best and brightest ways.
No, I guess the closest that we can say is like the Build-A-Figure is.
Yeah,
it's a more exaggerated version of it, or a more streamlined. But I guess it's kind of the same idea.
And realistically, at this point, there's only one company that really does the Build-A-Figure right, and that's
Right.
Hasbro. Because I mean, Mattel did it really good, but the problem is the rest of the figures were kind of sucky. So you didn't want to you didn't want to buy the figures to get the Build-A-Figure anyway.
Yeah, that King Shark Build-A-Figure is one of the coolest things they've ever done. That was for the Multiverse wave years ago.
Yeah, I still to this day want Clayface. I couldn't justify buying the whole set because there was no one in it that I really wanted.
Yeah,
and so,
the only one I ever bought was Batwoman. So I have like the crotch and like another piece. They don't even go together. Like that's the thing that I hate. Mattel
that's the worst.
that.
Yeah, they're like here's the left leg and an eyeball.
Yeah, like thanks.
But yeah, so it's very hit or miss. But moving on, one of my favorite companies that likes to completely obliterate my wallet, Mezco, held their fall edition MezcoCon last weekend. And last week we talked about the exclusive Gomez figure that went up and the poor life choices I made with money on that. But this week we're going to talk about
it?
I did.
I didn't get that far in the show. I was listening to it today, but
yeah, I broke down just because like I don't care about the Gomez character, but
right.
The body is great for different customs and stuff, and the accessories alone that it comes with, I'm like I can sell the parts I don't want and make most of my money back, so it's not a big deal. That's the one good thing about Mezco is you can buy something and you can chop shop the hell out of it and make most of your money back just because customizers love this line. But they announced 2, which really is disappointing, 112 collective figures during the con. First, we got Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre for all the horror fans. And then for the DC fanboys, and this one's kind of cool, I might break down and get it. We're getting Dr. Fate. And
it's very cool looking.
Yeah. And the fact that it even comes with like the effect with the cross and everything, I'm like, oh, you're tugging at my heartstrings. But
yeah,
the only thing that worries me is Mezco has this weird obsession now with like pleather capes. And I hate it because like the Dark Knight Returns figures they did several years ago, absolute perfection. And it has
those were like the first.
Yeah. And like it drapes well, the opposable arm holds the cape decently. The only pleather cape they've done that I've actually liked since is they just did the Supreme Knight Batman, which was ending their Batman trilogy, and he was the first one to come with an actual wired cape, and it's wired in 5 spots. And I'm usually against wired capes just because they don't sit well, but like this thing can drape over him, like over his shoulders and stuff, and looks fine. You can't tell it's wired.
Yeah.
But then you can also pose it in insane things and like it's just like going everywhere while he's beating people up. And I fell in love with that real quick. But the normal pleather capes, they just they flop up over like almost like 90s Magneto style, and it just looks so bad. Like every Batman figure I've gotten, I've had to make my own cape and replace it.
It's a weird scale to do soft goods to the extent that they do. Like I only have a few 112 figures. Most of them are Harley, so like those kind of are fine. But like the most recent one I got was the classic style Harley, and like that's a full. It's kind of like a pleather bodysuit, and I don't even know how that's going to hold up over time.
So I don't think it's a pleather bodysuit. I think it's
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's because I have it too. It's what's it called? It's like a vinyl that goes over it. So it's all fabric, but then the black parts are I think
Oh,
are
okay.
vinyl. So
Okay. All
it'll
right.
hold up better than pleather, but you still have to be careful. Like if you leave it in a certain pose for too long, it could crinkle it and make it so it doesn't like go back into like a straight like flush.
Okay. That makes sense. Because I got a couple more on order because I have the previews exclusive like roller derby Harley on
Mm-hmm.
pre-order, and then I have the '89 Michael Keaton Batman. So
Yeah. I have the 89 Batman coming. I'm still on the fence with that one just because it's going to be the first time they do that weird, like, no seam body.
yeah,
And I see those and it creeps me out because it's like, it just makes me think of Stretch Armstrong. And I'm like, I don't want my figure to be like squishy and gooey. Like that just, it's just weird.
yeah. No, I agree. But with that being said, the only other one I have besides the Harleys that I have is I have a Jason Voorhees, so that kind of goes with the Leatherface.
Mm-hmm.
And as a big horror fan, like I'm good with my NECA ones. I only bought Jason because one, I got a really good deal on it, and Jason's like my favorite slasher, so I thought I would check it out. But as great as they are, because Mezco does great work, I still prefer the NECA stuff for that
I
type of
mean,
figure.
bang for your buck, like
Mm-hmm.
NECA's going to be your better option because you're going to get an
Yep.
insane amount of detail and stuff for that price point. The only reason to go with Mezco is because of soft goods.
Yep.
Like that's the one thing that sells me on it is I as much as I love action figures, I hate seeing all of the like moving parts. I just the fact that like you can get Batman in a full on like onesie, so you don't see it. I don't know. It just looks really cool to me.
Yeah. No, I definitely get the appeal for sure. Like if I did those, I mean, I'd have to do like just those
Mhm.
because they're about $100, if not
Oh yeah,
more.
trust me. That was where I was at before I did this stupid show.
Yeah.
Where I was pretty much that and like Ninja Turtles because Mezco didn't do them. However, that's one thing I forgot to put in the news. People are speculating that Mezco may be dabbling in the Ninja Turtles because, I mean, you shake your head, but in one of the promotional art they use, they have a turtle hand sneaking out from a sewer to grab a piece of pizza. And while yes, Mezco could just put this in just because it's New York, they usually only do this stuff to try to like tease people and be like, look what we might do. Like, but
I
they'll
only
do it
shake my
prematurely.
I shake my head just because I know I'll get them, and I'm just like, ugh,
The
I
only way I'll
can't.
get them though is if they do like because a big complaint about Mezco is they do the Mez flare where like they make it look more armored and stuff. Like the X-Men
Yeah,
figures, they aren't like normal where it's just like cloth looking gloves. It's like no, they've got all these straps and shit all over them. And I get it, but like to get something that is a modernized version of something that you loved from before, I settle for it. It still looks cool. So if they do like a modernized version with a little bit of their own style of the comic book, like current comic book Turtles,
mm-hmm.
I'll buy all
That would be
in.
great. Well, I mean, nobody's doing that.
Exactly.
That's another market that's not being tapped. So I
Like
see
I
people
know
doing,
Jamar wants them too.
yeah, I see people doing these last Ronin customs that look phenomenal. I really did like the current comic. I stopped reading it like I mentioned earlier with most
Mm.
of my comics, but I really did like that book. It was really cool.
Oh yeah, they do a lot of great stuff. Like the IDW like run has been great.
Yeah,
I used to read it too. I had to cut back just because I don't read my comics as much as I used to.
right.
I like I'll still pick quite a bit of them up, but I'll end up reading like half of them and just focusing on the big things that are happening. Like I've kept up with the Batman run just because so many crazy things that have happened, and most of them involve Bane, who's probably my favorite Batman villain.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, like I've gotten so desperate that I think I showed you last time you were on the show what I did 7-1, right? Where I wrapped up
Yeah.
his stuff. So I also did that. I haven't finished doing it to the rest of them, but I did it to Leo from the
Oh,
movie line.
nice. Yeah.
And like this turned out significantly better than the 7-1. But like that's the closest I can get to having comic book Ninja Turtles at this point.
Yeah, that's pretty cool though.
Yeah, and it's super easy to do. It's literally just like some ace bandages. You take some water, pour some like green and brown paint in it, mix it up, drop it in there for a few seconds, dry it off, and wrap it up.
Cool.
But enough about Mezco and all the craziness. We're gonna move on to where to go. How'd that get mixed in there? I don't know. So Walmart put up pre-orders for the new Playmates Voltron Legendary Classic Combiner. Voltron stands 16 inches tall when all completely combined, and will run you $59.97 shipping in December. So I know last time you were on, you mentioned that you like Voltron. So is this this something you're gonna be getting?
I would certainly like to take a look at it. I never had a Voltron growing up, so like I would love to have like a really cool, transforming one that you put together. Especially because I started watching. Is it just? Well, it's Beast Lion on Crunchyroll, which is the original Voltron subtitled before the Americans cut it up and changed it to be Voltron. So I love just even the design, and I loved that show as a kid. So if it looks good, I may.
The only thing that I notice is because didn't they do a Voltron cartoon recently on like Netflix or something?
Yes, yeah, it was really good too. It was really good.
So
and they
I've
did
never
a version of
it,
that.
But this almost looks like it's like a combination, because if you look at the individual like robot cats, some of them are a little more rounded rather than being like square and rectangular like they were in the 80s.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, so is that supposed to be how they look in the cartoon, or is this like a mashup? Or
I mean, those were pretty stylized. These look more classic than I would think. So
because I think it's the green one. It just looks very, very like rounded off, and like
the green one does. You're absolutely right. He does look more like the modern version, but the other ones are real squared up like they should be.
Yeah, I thought that was a weird choice that they did, but I don't know. It looks cool in the fact that it's like 16 inches tall. I'm like,
yeah, it looks neat.
Like I feel like that'd look great if you like have a Megazord or something, put them like fighting on your shelf. Speaking of which, have you seen the like little 6-inch like build a Megazord thing?
I haven't seen those anywhere. I pre-ordered one though, like on Amazon. You can pre-order them all together, and it comes in a Megazord box. Like it's an Amazon exclusive. It's $40.
It's not bad.
No, it's not. It was supposed to be for Power MorphiCon, which is a thing, which is fine. I'm not making fun. I just didn't know that was the name of it until I heard it. But it was supposed to be for that, but since it didn't happen this year, Amazon has them as an exclusive.
I'm just gonna say it's a missed opportunity there. Power MorphiCon. Why not just call it Mighty MorphiCon?
I
don't know about you, but that sounds a little cooler to me.
Yeah.
But anyways, I've seen those. They have all three of them at my Walmart, and I keep seeing them, and I'm just like, part of me wants to get them, but at like $15 a pop, I'm also like hesitant just because they're clearly like made more so as like a children's toy, despite the fact that that's not the audience you should be aiming for.
Yeah, these are not like Lightning Collection.
Yeah,
that's I can see it right over here. I still haven't opened up that Zeo Megazord that I got. It's just weird that because like that's the only thing they've announced for this like 12-inch line of Megazords, but that's the only one that they've done, and this doesn't fit in with that because this is more kid oriented. I don't know.
And it's also only 6 inches tall.
Yeah. Oh, it's
like
only
this
6
is something.
inches?
Yeah, it's only 6 inches. Yeah, they're little.
Oh.
Like they're peg warmers, like literally.
Ooh. Maybe I'm gonna cancel my order then.
Now you know why it was only $40.
Yeah.
Nate's like, oh man, I got a steal. I got a big ass Megazord.
Yeah, for $40.
Oh man. So rounding out the news for final story of the week, Kaiyodo revealed a more amazing Yamaguchi Rebel Tech. Well, revealed more of it because we've already talked about it once on the show. The Joker figure that they're doing. So we got new images and details. Figure will include 3 pairs of hands, haha word balloon, alternate head sculpts, a cane, chattering teeth, a blast effect, and it looks like the tails to his like cape or not cape, coat are posable. Whether that's like on a hinge or if they just like pop in and out, I'm not sure because they didn't really show it off in the pictures very well. But he's up for pre-order in Big Bad Toy Store finally for $89.99. Will ship in March. I think it was me and Jamar talked about this one. It looks really cool, but I feel like you have to be into that like Kaiyodo like line of Batman and the Harleys they've been doing to really appreciate this, just because it's very, very stylized.
Yeah, it is. It does look really cool. Thankfully, it's not like all robot-y like those Marvel ones that they've recently been doing. I only have a few Amazing Yamaguchi. I have the 4 turtles from the 2012 series, and I really like them. But do you have any Amazing Yamaguchi?
No, Jamar has, because I debated on getting the 2012 Turtles just because that cartoon's absolutely fantastic.
100%.
But
it's like my favorite.
Mine too. But after seeing like his in person, I didn't like the way the articulation on him looked. Like you can see the ball joint in their elbows and stuff. Like it was real weird.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, because it is not for, like, this is gonna sound so bad and so like nerdy, but like if you are not like really into posing your figures, these aren't the figures for you. Because if you just try to set them up regularly, yeah, you seem to be okay. But for those who just kind of do more static posing of just, a big display, these aren't articulated all that much, but kind of like what is going on behind me, like these aren't for you, because they have to, you can get them into some amazing positions, but if you don't get them just right, they look goofy and you can see parts.
Yeah.
And it's a challenge. It's not, this sounds so bad, but this is not for a beginning action figure collector.
Well, let's be straight. For the 30 people that are going to watch this, Nate, if they're watching 2 dudes talk about toys for an hour and a half, I think we're already beyond the point of it sounds weird to play with your toys and pose them.
That's true. But I just mean it's really for your it's for your experienced action figure collectors.
And like I almost like bit into it and went with the 2012 Turtles, but I was just like, I like to, like, people even notice if you go through and watch the different episodes of our Toyfare, the display behind me changes regularly. Like every couple of episodes I'll have something new in there, or I'll move people around. I don't like to keep things in the same pose all the time. So I feel like with the Turtles, it would have been a little harder to hide that articulation without keeping very similar poses at all times. So
yeah, that's true.
It just was like, it's gonna be too much of it's almost like getting a part-time job just to keep these turtles looking cool on my shelf. But yeah, the Joker looks really cool. Unfortunately, like you have to be in this line because he's not something that's gonna blend in with your other figures. The proportions do not match up for if you want to put them from Marvel Legends or the DC Multiverse, like NECA figure or not NECA, Mcfarlane figures. Like it's definitely something where if you're gonna have to get that cool like samurai style Batman and the like weird K-pop Harley Quinns, like it's gonna fit like proportion wise perfectly with those. But hey, that's clearly got a huge following because they keep going and investing in that line. So
yeah,
more power to them.
I have that weird K-pop Harley. I haven't opened her yet, and I also have the other 2 colors on pre-order. So
I was gonna ask, I was like, do you I'm guessing you have the red and blue, and then you're probably gonna get the black and red.
Yeah. I have just like the regular first one that came out, and then they're doing because I think that one's blue and red, and then they're doing the black and red, and then they're doing the blonde and red or blonde and blue. I don't know.
I think because I think the next one comes out, her hair's gonna be red and black.
Yeah,
and then the one after that is one of the 2 that already is out, but it has blonde hair instead of the colored hair.
Yep.
And then they'll of course do a 4th one that is the opposite color.
With the blonde hair,
because
probably
money.
Yeah, and they'll get suckers like me that'll buy it. So people may not know. I do have a massive Harley Quinn collection of figures and statues and just pieces and memorabilia, and so I pretty much get not all things, a lot of things that come out.
I was actually going to mention that. I was going to say you're a huge Harley fan. So like it makes perfect sense that you buy into these.
Yep.
That'd be like if it was something with Nightwing, I'd be like, I might have to give you my credit card digits.
Yep.
So that's it for the news this week. Next is weekly purchases, and since you claim to have a record-breaking amount of things, I'll go first, just so we can end on a high note. Since we already talked about it, during the Tamashii Nation and like all the Bluefin brand stuff when they did their weird like convention stuff for NYCC, they of course did all their bundle deals. So I have a handful of figures that I am some keeping, most of them I'm trying to sell just because I only wanted certain things from it. But I finally got Captain Ginyu.
Nice.
And as we mentioned, gotta have him in the pose.
Absolutely. That's like some people were mad about what's his name, the little one.
Gordo
Yeah, him coming like he's not going to be articulated. And I'm like, really? What pose are you going to put him in?
Yeah, I think the problem is they just want it because each of them had multiple like poses when they're in their group. So maybe what they should have done is they should have been like, here's 3 of him, 3 molded ones in 3 different poses, so you can do the different stances as the like Ginyu Force. I guess
it's been a while since I watched it that they had 3. I thought they just had 2.
Oh, they've got plenty, especially once they start dying off and they have to like all readjust.
Yeah, I forgot about that. You're right. I take it all back. It's been a couple years since I watched that part of it. So, because that's a commitment.
Yeah. So then I rearranged it a little bit because they had a bundle for the Dragon Ball like legendary set, and it came with King Piccolo, which I already have, just because Piccolo is my favorite character in Dragon Ball. And so what I did is I really wanted the Dragon Ball figures just to get the Dragon Balls, just because I'm like they're killing me. They don't want to sell them separately, so I'll bite the bullet. So I've got the event exclusive Kid Goku.
Nice, that's a great one.
Which I'm torn on because he's cool, but I kind of want the orange gi instead, just because I want to pose him with Piccolo, and at that point he was wearing the orange. So,
yeah, he goes really well.
And the orange one comes with the Nimbus.
Yes, and that's it's like because I have the blue event one on the Nimbus, and then the orange gi is actually set up with Jackie Chun.
Okay.
And I have something that I got to show that goes with that.
Oh, I think I have an idea of what it is.
Yeah.
But then we've got Bulma. And then, of course, Tao Pai Pai.
Yeah, that's a great figure. They're both great. Bulma's great. She's real small, but she's perfect. But yeah, that's how Pai Pai is nice. The only thing I don't like is I wish it came with an alternate head.
Oh, with the rope, like the weird spectacle eye thing.
Yep. That seemed like a missed opportunity.
So I already put him on my shelf, and I don't want to knock everyone over to get him. But what I did is essentially I was digging through all of the different sales stuff they had, and they had these figures on sale so you could buy them separately. Well, if I got those with Ultra Instinct Goku, it was less than if I would have bought the bundle that came with Piccolo. So that I'd actually get a figure I needed and wanted versus getting Piccolo and then hoping I could sell him. So as of right now, for 100% for sure, I'm probably going to sell Tao and Bulma just because I love Dragon Ball, but my display is more dedicated to like Super.
I get it.
Just because, I mean, unfortunately, because of America, I grew up with Z, and Dragon Ball didn't get dubbed until Z was already over, or like half over. Like they were in the Cell Saga, and they're like, watch Dragon Ball Z at 4 and watch Dragon Ball at 4 or 4:30, and I'm just like, okay. So
yeah, and it's definitely a tonal switch.
Oh, it's definitely, you go from like action hero show to like real weird Japanese show.
Yeah, and very very comedic.
Yeah, it's definitely something where you when you get older, you appreciate Dragon Ball more than you did growing up.
I am old and I appreciate Dragon Ball. So,
yes. So, unfortunately, Bulma and Tao Pai Pai, I just don't have a need for. So, I'm gonna be selling those two. Also, I have an extra Kaioken Goku that came with Ginyu because I mean it was $10 more than what he cost at retail anyway. So I'm like,
Yeah.
Why not? I may keep them around or I may sell them. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. This one I forgot to put up last week, so Nate, you get to see it first.
Ooh.
I finally got in PulseCon.
Oh,
Poker.
nice.
And I must say, my biggest complaint is, I don't know about yours, mine's a little bow-legged.
Yeah, yours definitely is.
Yeah.
I haven't opened mine yet, so
Like,
I'm not sure.
like he just like, I put him up to the other dragon and was like, yeah, man, he's that like I've been riding a horse for 8 weeks. Like, I'm like, damn, okay. Then I got, which this is weird for me because I have actively tried to avoid the Marvel Legends line unless it's very specific, like build a figure type character that I can't get in other things. So like Juggernaut's my favorite like X-Men character, so I was not gonna pass up him. And like Kingpin I got because I eventually want to get like a soft goods suit and make him more of a Mezco style. But I saw this and I guess I got FOMO or something, but I picked up the Age of Apocalypse.
Oh, yeah.
Like I don't know something about
cool.
this figure. Like he just looks so cool.
Yep.
Like the red and blue just pop and that like evil like laughing face. I'm just like, all right, why not? Also last week I ended up getting the Venom pull. So like I just really like the Build-A-Figures.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna keep you for last. So then I live up on a mountain. So unless it's like I have a comic book store, but they don't do collectibles. But down in Phoenix, they have a place called the Collectors Marketplace. Insane. Like it's just wall to wall action figures and collectibles of like all styles and all media forms. And I sent a bunch of stuff that because I like I mentioned to you a few episodes ago, I'm getting out of the wrestling figures. So I sold a bunch of them. Some of the ones that weren't going to sell, I threw in a box, and my cousin was going down there anyway, so he took them in for me, and he traded them in, and managed to get enough that I picked up the Mezco Cyclops.
Oh, awesome.
So I've been holding off on him for a while, so it was kind of a nice little find. And my best purchase. So I actually canceled my pre-order on this on Entertainment Earth because I finally found one at GameStop, which I didn't expect to happen. But I got me my Pimp Daddy Destro.
Oh, nice. He's awesome.
He is.
He's
like
awesome.
I'm not a G.I. Joe guy, but this like the day me and Jamar came across this Modern Toyfare news, it's like I have to have it. Like
he's
especially
great,
with the name
though.
Profit Director. I'm like, oh
Right.
come on now. He profit directed them hoes is what you're trying to say.
Yeah. No, he's awesome. That cheetah cape on the back and the burning money. I mean, it's all nice touches.
It is.
I love it.
Oh, there is another thing. I only grabbed a couple of them because when I was going through the Bluefin like deals during New York Comic Con, I love the cool like Tamashi effects you can buy.
Yeah.
And they had the little rock effects you can buy.
Oh yeah, I saw those. I thought about them.
They're like $15 and they're only like 25. So I'm like, all right, throw one of those in. These are only two parts of it because I kind of see it, but I've got them built up. They're holding up Super Saiyan Blue Goku up there. Nice. And I was like, it was a pain in the ass to give him that position. I am not moving those for the show.
Yeah, I get it.
But that wraps up my purchases. So let's break some records here.
All right, let's see where to start because I got to break this up because a lot of it is very similar. So I don't even know if this is everything. This week was substantial. Like every day we'd have Amazon, FedEx, and UPS stop at the house. And it's not just me because my wife collects too. So it's bad. It's bad in our house. So I'll show this first, just real quick because I finally got it in. I got the rest of my Pulse exclusives. So.
Ooh.
Here's the Marvel Legends Hellfire Club. Let me.
Oh yeah, it's got that fancy like flap, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, it's got a fancy flap and then
and the mural,
a family portrait. And then one of the things I really dug that they did with this is the figures. Like you can just kind of pop them out, as opposed to being like under plastic. So you could put them back if you wanted to. But yeah, this thing is nice. I mean, They essentially are the same two figures, just done twice, but with different, decorations and stuff. So, but it's a really nice set, and if you're a old school X-Men fan, it's a must-have. So
now,
then,
are you gonna? Now, I'm not gonna count this as record breaking if you have 15 Hellfire Club goons.
No, I did get those though. I have 2 of them. I didn't bring them down though. They're still upstairs. That's good though. That would be a good one. 2 ones that are just kind of I finally got these from Pulse.
Ooh.
So these are the Black Series Rebels, Sabine and Hera. I had the previous release, and when they announced these were coming out with the new style boxes, I was like, well, I don't need those. And then they said, well, we're also going to update the faces with the photo reel. And I was like, I don't need that because they're not based on real people. And then I saw side-by-side comparisons, and I went, I need all of those. Luckily, I already had Ezra, because he was the first of the crew to have that photo reel done, and Chopper, there's no change. So I had ordered Kanan and Ahsoka previously, and they came in a long time ago, but these finally came in this week. And then, so some like holiday time exclusives are starting to hit, and I wasn't going to get these either. This is a theme.
Oh, is this what I think it is?
I don't know. What do you think it is?
I think it's the holiday stormtroopers.
It's not. I'm definitely getting those. But this is the Mandalorian credit collection. So this was the GameStop exclusive, and it just showed up already. But it's credit for 2-fold, and I didn't quite realize this, and this is what really sold me on it. Yeah, you get the little Imperial Beskar credit, but the decos are based on the artwork from the end credits of the show. So they're painted that way. They got the great card artwork. So that one's really cool. I got that from GameStop. This one from Target came in this week too. Cara Dune. Now I did not get in on the Target.com pre-order. This was bought in store.
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah. And then my Best Buy pre-order for the Heavy Gunner Mandalorian. Yeah. So those 3 all came in this week. The other 2 are Amazon exclusives, and they still say December 3rd. So
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little jealous of the Mandalorian one, just because I don't collect the Star Wars stuff, but that like concept art like work from the credits of the Mandalorian looks so cool, and to get that in figure form, I was like, oh, I want it, but it was already sold out by the time I found out about it.
Yeah, hopefully they're gonna restock. I've heard that they might. So then also from GameStop this week was the Gaming Greats Jedi Fallen Order Biker Scout Shock Trooper, which I think is interesting because I was able to order these online, and I only ordered them like 2 weeks ago. So I pre-ordered it, and I was able to buy 3 of them, one for me and 2 of my friends. But the one that I couldn't order any more than one of, which is the Purge Trooper, still hasn't come in. So that's weird. And again, there's going to be a theme here. So then this came in as well. This is the Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian Armorer exclusive. So this is the one that they had available
through PulseCon, right?
Yep, through PulseCon. This was supposed to be the Celebration exclusive. So I thought it was just the accessories, the helmet, and the little helmet tongs. But her cape is furry.
Oh.
Yeah, and this is not the same way on the retail release. So a friend of mine got the retail release this week, and it's plastic, and this one is actually furry. So that's kind of cool. This will get open. The box came kind of crappy. Normally my Pulse stuff comes in real good shape, so this was kind of surprising, but it didn't really matter. I was going to open it anyway. So, okay, then I got to go to the other pile. So I got these in from Big Bad Toy Store. These were I hinted at these. This is the Super 7 Ren and Stimpy. I mean, look how big this is. I have a large head. This thing is like almost 4 of my heads fit in this box. And Stimpy is even bigger and heavier.
Jesus.
So they're still in their outer plastic. I haven't opened anything. I've been busy, and I've been busy buying and getting toys. So then, I don't know if you partook in any of the Walmart shenanigans when they did their little Walmart fan con back in July.
Only stuff I saw was like real weird, like kids stuff. I didn't really see anything that was like any lines that I'd have any interest in.
Yeah, they did. That's where like the cable for Deadpool 2 first was revealed, and you could get it there,
Okay.
even though now you can find it for like $3.
Yeah, it's like a clearance aisle everywhere.
Yeah, so one of the things they had was 4 Star Wars Black Series figures from the 7th season of Clone Wars, and I put our pre-order in, and like every Walmart pre-order, it gets delayed, and then they show up in stores. So I got the tip today that they were at a local store, so I went and got them. I was that guy, even though I wasn't. I totally looked like I was probably, a scalper, because I was buying for 3 people, and so I had my shopping cart, and I basically just went to the shipper and was like, cleared them all, put them in the basket, ran up. It was $442 what I spent today, and that was not all for me. That was,
but still,
that was.
That's a hefty Walmart purchase for toys.
Yeah. But
it's impressive you found that many like toys at Walmart to spend that much.
I know. Well, I cleared out their shipper. That's the only thing they had. But this is the Series 7 Ahsoka. I wanted it just because of what it is, but also I just, anything Ahsoka is always really hard to get later on down the line. So, plus it's a Walmart exclusive. Then there's the Ahsoka Stormtrooper or Clone Trooper. I feel like I should clarify. I haven't watched the 7th season yet, so.
I mean, if it makes you feel better, I've only seen like the last 4 episodes.
Oh yeah, like you haven't seen the rest of the show?
I mean, I've seen bits and pieces of the show previously, but the new season that was on Disney Plus, the girlfriend was watching it because she was a huge fan of it. I never had a huge interest in it because I loved the animated version they did before they did CGI. So I was like, no, I'm not going to watch that. They killed the version I wanted. That kind of nerd. And
I get it.
I was, walking back and forth from the kitchen to the game room one day, and I just noticed, I'm like, man, this show's really dark.
Yeah.
And then I walked by and something really, so I sat down and I watched the last 4 episodes. I'm like, man, now that's how you end a Star Wars story.
Yeah. It's funny because if you go back to the very first thing that came out, which is the movie, the Clone Wars movie that they released theatrically, and that is a giant pile of dog shit.
Oh yeah, that was another reason why I didn't want to watch the TV show. I'm like, that movie was so awful. Why would I watch an entire TV show?
Yeah, it gets much better right from the get-go. It doesn't find its legs until probably season 2, but at least it improves upon. But it's a great show. I mean, I just haven't watched the last season, but I definitely wanted to grab these. So then I have the Mandalorian Loyalist, which this one's going to be hot anyway because it's a Mandalorian and it looks like the Death's Watch, which has made an appearance in the Mandalorian. So that's going to be hot. And then there's the Mandalorian Super Commando, which is basically a Mandalorian with a Darth Maul helmet. So,
that is a perfect description, yeah.
As you do. Then
jokes on us, he found half of Darth Maul and just plucked those out and put it on his helmet. George Lucas loves to come full circle.
Yeah. Then I got, because I was at that shipper and I didn't know that I was going to get these until I saw them. And I don't normally do the Star Wars 3 3/4 inch, but I got the carbonized vintage collection box, Mandalorian. Though. Yeah. So since I'm doing, I had the only vintage collection that I've bought recently is I bought all the Mandalorian ones just to put on my wall, I have a little retro wall. But then when they announced the Razor Crest, I was like, oh crap, I think I kind of need to open those. So this is going to be a nice substitution. It comes with the
Mandalorian figure, though.
It does, but I want Cara Dune and the other.
Oh, you want them all just chilling in the hole, getting choked out by Baby Yoda?
Yeah, exactly. So these will replace these on the wall because these cards are just too sharp.
Oh yeah, that looks super cool.
Yeah. So I got Mandalorian, Remnant Stormtrooper, and then Cara Dune, which I don't know that these figures. I guess they're a little bit shiny, but it's mostly the card art. And then the Death Trooper, which has now been kind of folded into the Mandalorian since it appeared at the end, so they can re-release it, not just from Rogue One. So. Sorry if you out there didn't like Star Wars, because that was a lot, but I have a few more things that are not Star Wars. First, this just inexplicably arrived from Amazon. The Gamerverse Atmosphere
I've seen people
Blue.
show that it's showing up in Walmart, but yeah.
Yeah.
But
none
it's
of the
not
other
wave,
ones.
just
Nope,
that
one.
one and Cap are the only two I've seen people find.
Yeah, this one came in a box just of canned dog food, so it's really heavy. Surprisingly, this didn't get crushed. I was going to
That is
open it
impressive.
anyway, but it was shocking. And then the thing I hinted at earlier, which I haven't opened yet, obviously because I don't open hardly anything anymore. I got my Dragon Ball. I guess it's branded as Dragon Ball Super. It's a Dragon Stars martial arts tournament. So it's not totally to scale from what I understand, and that's fine. This is just going to be a cool display piece. I'll probably have, I'll have Jackie Chun on there. So you can do like damage effects. And I love the back too because it shows all the Dragon Star figures, which there's a lot. I had a bunch of them at one time, and then I sold a bunch of them.
Like, so confession time. After seeing some in-hand pictures of it, and like even how poorly it scaled with the figures that came in that line, I may or may not have canceled mine.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's probably I'm probably going to be pretty disappointed, but
because originally I was all for it. I'm like, okay, it might not be like perfect, but you can take some shots of it, like get that angles and make it look like it's like further back than it is, and all that, and like give it a nice little like black wash to bring out some of the details, so it's not just that flat molding. But then I saw it in hand, and like someone actually put some figure arts, like the Dragon Ball figure arts figures on it, and they were so big on it. I'm like,
yeah,
cancel.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it'll be kind of a thing. But with Dragon Stars, I don't like. I was buying them for a while, and then I was like, why am I buying more of the same that I have in SH figure arts, which are obviously way better. So I'll pick up a few here and there when SH Figure Arts hasn't done them. So along with my World Tournament, I got the Super Saiyan Bardock, which is weird because this is from a whole thing that I'm not as familiar with him going Super Saiyan.
Yeah, they did like a random movie where he like gets sent back in time, and then he like is protecting this other planet from like Frieza's brother, who isn't cooler. Right. And then he goes Super Saiyan. He's the legendary Super Saiyan, and it's like, okay, more stuff that isn't canon.
Right. Yeah, and speaking of, I got Janemba from the one movie, The Rebirth of Fusion, which I love that movie.
I did too. That was fantastic.
Yeah, I'll keep these until they announce like a figure arts version, and then I sell them for less than I paid for them, and that's okay. But that's what
Bardock
I do.
Will probably be sooner rather than later because they've got the normal version of Bardock here.
Right.
Out.
I probably should have canceled this one because I sold the Bardock that I had because the SH one is coming out. So I don't have too many Dragon Stars left, so we'll see.
Yeah, I feel like it might be a hot minute before we see Janemba, though.
Yeah, it's exactly. Yeah. That's why I bought like the Dragon Ball GT figures in the Dragon Stars because they keep saying that they might, but
they've made prototypes of some of them. We've seen SS4 figures multiple times. We've seen random SS3 Vegetas, and they just like shh.
And I pre-ordered one of those third party. It wasn't Demonical Fit, but it was somebody like that.
Was it maybe from like Omnistore?
Yeah, something like that. I ordered because they were going to do a Super Saiyan 4 Goku, and I pre-ordered it, but it was like that's a year and a half ago, so I don't know what happened to that.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on. Earlier this year, I pre-ordered a the weird like second form of Super Saiyan Blue that Vegeta achieves in the Tournament of Power, where like he's like his top half of his armor is all ripped off, so he's just like he doesn't have his gloves on, he's all like beefy and stuff, and still waiting. Like it'll probably be a hot minute because it was still in like super prototype phase when they like showed it off. But like I like me some Vegeta, so I'll take it. And I love me some battle damage, and we don't get enough battle damage. Here's 8 battle damage Gokus, but
well, read between the lines, but it's fine. But that's it. I think. I'm sure I'm forgetting something.
So what's the final count? Because I ran out. I lost count.
So 20 pieces.
Damn.
Yeah.
So that's our new number to hit. I'll make sure to tell Jamar when he comes back he's gotta pick up some slack.
He can count the baby's toys.
Well, if you go back and listen to some of the earlier episodes when we first discussed like he might have to take a hiatus for the baby and everything, he actually like has shown off things he had bought for the baby, but they're going to be on
Right.
Daddy's shelf.
Oh yeah, I did that too.
Yeah. So like because he named his kid after, I think it's the Dragon Prince, the Netflix like animated show.
Mm-hmm.
So he like
That's awesome.
his mom or mother-in-law bought them the Funko Pops of them. And he's like, yeah, they're for him on my shelf.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So that's going to wrap it up for the show this week. Before we go, I do want to remind you that we, as always, have our giveaway. Once we hit 350 YouTube subscribers, we will give away a first place prize of the NECA Ultimate Metalhead action figure and a second place prize of the extra large NECA Musical Mutagen Tour merch box bundle. It includes an extra large shirt, tote bag, souvenir ticket, backstage pass, and 4 guitar picks. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel and share or retweet the post on Instagram or Twitter with the hashtag ModernToyFair100. So we're keeping the hashtag 100 just because that was the contest originally. Things changed, and I don't want anyone to miss out. But again, I'm going to make this clear. You must subscribe to the channel, and you must retweet or share the post on either Twitter or Instagram with that hashtag ModernToyFair100. If you share it to your story on Instagram, you are not entered, because in 24 hours it's going to disappear, and whenever we hit this magic number, I ain't going to be able to find it. So that's on you. I've said it every episode, so I could care less if you get screwed over. Might as well just listen correctly, and even in the post on Instagram it says that, so that one's on you. But that's it for this week's Modern Toy Fair news. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Also, make sure to check out Jamar's show, Why Are You a Gamer, over at Media Junkie. He's currently on hiatus until I believe November, but he has a huge library of different people he's talked to about why they became gamers and what makes them love video games. It's a great conversation. It's not really like something where you have to be there since day one. Every episode's kind of its own thing. So make sure to give that some love so that way he'll get off my back for him not doing anything for the show, but still wanting me to plug his shit. But Nate, I know you guys over at Figuratively Speaking have some tentative plans to come back. Do you have any updates or anything for the fans?
I don't. One of the co-hosts was actually pretty ill over the last couple of weeks, so that kind of got put on hold for now. But we're still hoping for like November, December. Yeah,
all right, awesome.
It'll have been like almost a year since we've been apart. So
I don't know. I mean, maybe like 8 months, because I feel like you guys had an episode in like January or February. Did you freeze?
I thought I froze for a second.
Oh, okay. Because instead of like responding, you just start like shifting back and forth.
Did you ask me a question? Because I didn't hear that.
I did. I said I thought that you guys had an episode back in either like January or February before like everything like went to hell.
Yep. We did.
So it has been like a whole year yet, but I mean...
No, but by the time we get going, it probably will be close to it. So we'll have a lot of stuff to say and fight about, because that's usually what happens.
Just look at it this way. You have to wait for great things. I mean, Mandalorian Season 2 came out like a year after Mandalorian Season 1. Just saying.
It's true.
So yeah, make sure to check out that podcast. It's a lot of fun. Just kind of like a bunch of friends talking about whatever they're doing with their action figures that week and stuff they found. So make sure to check that out. I know at one point we may even have another crossover where I come over and visit, but we'll cross that bridge at some point. If you'd like to support my channel, though, click the little link below for tpublic.com. Takes you to our store. We have shirts with our logo on them. I have different designs I've worked up in Photoshop. We also have things like mugs, phone cases, pillows, even like masks to protect you during these trying times of 2020. So give the look. I greatly appreciate it. As always, please like and subscribe. If you enjoy our faces, hit the little bell. Get notifications when the videos go up. Modern Toy Fair news goes up on Fridays. Modern Toy Fair reviews on Mondays. If you absolutely hate our faces and despise them with a passion, we do have an audio-only version of Modern Toy Fair news. And it is available on Spotify, Anchor, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pocket Cast, Spotify, and other podcasts you know and love. So give that a check out. And hopefully we'll see you next week, same toy time, same Toyfare channel. Thank you for watching.